else right now that I can.
Of course you can. It's like burned into your soul. Oh, man.
I can't confirm or deny that, sorry.
But I can. So, I mean, we talked about the past events, we've talked about what we're doing now, the IGDA, the update event. We kind of let people know what's going on in the future. I mean, just before we wrap this particular part up, is there anything else you guys wanted to say about what's happening with the chapter so far? Or?
I mean, on my end right now, on actually, I'll talk really quick about the website itself, the IGDA website as a whole, not ours. We're doing our things on that. But IGDA as a whole, they've been busy, slowly but surely. They've been revamping their website to make sure that our chapter is included when people sign up for it. I just actually learned a couple days ago. Matter of fact, I got interviewed by a student at Art Institute. And he's like, I just heard about you guys and I just registered for it, but I couldn't find your chapter. I'm like, they're working on that. So as a kind of a reminder, they are working on doing a full makeover of the website to, make sure they recognize our new, us as one of the newest chapters, who we've got involved with it, and what events are coming up and such. They're going to be adding, well, they already have it, but they're going to be utilizing it a bit more with IGDA specific Kickstarter and Indiegogo pages. So if you're a member of IGDA Sacramento and you've got something you want to do, but you need that push, let us know. Let Joe, Gabby, or I know, and we'll get I'll get the word out there to Central about saying, listen, this is one of our people are making this happen. Kind of like what we did with Josh with his Leadworks thing. They couldn't promote it directly, but they got the word out. They pushed it further and they let me know. So yeah, they're definitely ready, willing, and able to help whatever realistic way possible. So that's I think probably the only other thing right now with just a big update on their website. So yeah, just be on the lookout for all these different summits and conferences that they're a part of, that you should be a part of too, because you get discounts for these events. Yeah, the most recent one was the IGDA Summit and Casual Connect, which was astounding, by the way. So, I mean, I was a speaker, so I didn't pay for it, thank God. But the discount in of itself, I think, was 20 or 30% if you just for IGDA members. And I mean, it was a great thing. So don't take advantage of those things too, if you can. But.
Awesome, and also too, we do a website, igdasacramento.org. Which we are currently still kind of tweaking. It's kind of like, we think of it kind of in the beta-ish stage, but definitely go there. Every time we have an event or do anything, it will show up there. All of our contact information is there as well. All the educational events, game jams that we do, everything is all set up there. So just in case, if you're not, a frequent user of meetup.com, you can visit that site as well, and you'll get all the information that we usually post up there as well. Yeah, I think that's it. Anything else to add for the chapter, Gabby?
Yeah, just going back to the events that we have planned out. So we are doing a lot of educational events, so we're trying to keep that in mind and focus. So people who, are just getting into it and are like, they might not be able to participate in this year's Indie Arcade that we're doing, or IGDA Arcade. But
it's alright.
What we are doing is trying to help build up people who don't have the current knowledge and stuff, but are really interested, don't know where to go. We're trying to create a lesson to build full round, kind of provide education and everything and touch on all the topics. So if there's something that you missed out on, email us. We'll probably gonna plan it so we move back the date again. We are gonna have more time to repeat events. We want to start doing that, so build up an overall structure for people so they can start creating their own games and have an idea of how everything works. And so it's fine if you don't know anything. We're here to help.
We'll help you know something. You will be important, we promise. So that's
anything. Anything you want, we promise. It doesn't have to be games, right? It could be anything. Driving a car, no. Just want some cash, No, please don't. Anyway, so I mean, that's all the details on the chapter. So actually, since we do have Steve here, and I mean he's one of our advisors, maybe you could talk about the type of services you provide that relate to game development here in Sacramento.
I'm with Anion Incorporation, and what we do is we make video games and we train developers basically. So we're kind of a bridge between your college education and after college education into the game industry. Basically, we start training on the actual professional tools that are being used for professional game developers. We introduce a lot of concepts that may not be taught in traditional academic environments, basically. So it's all hands-on training, and everybody gets touch time with the either code or art, and usually gets a product release within about 3 to 6 months of the internship or the beginning once they get enrolled in Amion. So it's a great great win-win situation for Amion to have developers and for the people looking for experience.
Good placement and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. We have a really high placement with people that have went through our program. I'd say that 85% of people have actually landed a job within the industry. Wow. Have all the program graduates, basically. So
very nice.
There's a lot of, we take pride in that.
So what type of tool sets would they be using or during the actual curriculum?
Yeah, primarily our main engine technology is we're using Unity, basically, which is pretty well accepted in game engine now. And obviously the standard tools such as Photoshop and also some Max Maya and the other stuff like other smaller tools such as Crazy Bump or most of the stuff we use is pretty standard. And we also do train Scrum too, which is pretty important too. Exactly. Working in a Scrum environment is very different from somebody who went from academia to the actual development. So yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, a lot in the more traditional way of teaching, you don't learn those type of things. Usually that's stuff you learn through experience. So it's very interesting to hear that you guys are actually, that's what you're teaching them. You're teaching them the stuff that they're going to be using in the real world.
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. It's like I said, it's all real world experience, basically.
Very nice. So, like, what's kind of the classes and the process that they have to go through? Is it that they immediately you just give them a project and they jump right into it, or is it more like in the traditional sense where you have to take, a few weeks of this, a few weeks of that? What's the
it really depends on the level of experience the developers are in, and they're basically internships, basically that the new interns have. Majority, I pull some from college, basically. Some people are studying computer science, or maybe art or fine art or something like that, or even possibly sound. We have sound internships also. And what we do is we usually take interns that are either enrolled in school and give them a flexible schedule. They usually come in at least twice a week. And during the summer, we normally have full-time hands-on training, and they get real production experience every day of the week, basically. So the experience levels they usually come from are usually maybe college graduates, or either usually during college, or people who have been graduated with a degree and haven't really been landed that first position in the game industry. That first position is extremely difficult to get. And I was lucky. I got a position at EA out of college, but for the majority of the people that I've known that I graduated with, they weren't as lucky, basically. So just getting that initial first job and that first experience is very valuable.
Very much so.
Yeah, exactly. So the experience level we can train high school developers most likely because of the training that they'll require regarding programming academically and stuff like that. They normally will have to pay for training if they're coming out of high school, but if they have some collegiate training in art or programming, they normally don't pay for it. There's no payment for an internship or anything like that. So it's free. So we've been training experienced developers for free for the last almost 3 years now, actually. Wow. So yeah, exactly.
That's impressive.
Wow. So especially in the game industry and the tech industry, having that certificate or degree saying I went here, so on, bachelor's degree, whatever. But what it seems to be that when you actually get in the door and they start interviewing, the most important thing is they don't care what educational level you have. They pull out a whiteboard and they say, all right, show me what you can do.
Exactly.
So
that's right. Yeah.
The portfolio tends to be, at least in those two industries, tends to be the most valued thing.
Exactly.
So
absolutely.
With Amion, how do you create their portfolio? Obviously they're making a game.
Yeah, exactly. So ideally their portfolio is the games that have been released that they worked on, basically. So instead of showing oh, here's my website, you just say, oh, here's my app, I worked on the following assets.
There you go.
And what happens is I also let if they build an asset or something like that, I also let them use those assets for their demo reel if they do want to have an online portfolio. Mm-hmm. But normally I would just say to the interns, the people that complete their internships, basically just have your phone, your Droid or iPad or iPhone, and just show it to your potential interviewer.
Yeah. And
when you've been working, for the last year or 6 months, depending on your time on the internship, And they see that initiative that you really took your time and invested in yourself professionally to get something developed out there. So, and looking good and everything. So
definitely. So, what was the reason that you actually wanted to start this? I mean, outside of wanting to help people, was there any other reasons that made you?
It was pure trauma. Trying to find it was trauma basically. Exactly, it was trauma. There weren't. Entry-level positions when I finished college didn't exist basically. I have kind of a unique background. I have a programming background. I was a computer science major at Sac State, and then I said multimedia and game development at ITT basically. So I have kind of the best of both worlds with tools and the academic theory as far as programming and stuff. So what happened was, I considered myself fairly proficient in the tools and at least, C++ at the time, or just programming methodology. But it was nearly impossible, and I probably sent hundreds and hundreds of job applications all over the world. And the one job I did land was at EA basically, and I worked on the Simpsons game there. But the whole experience after that, even my contract after EA was done, was still extremely difficult to find work basically. And luckily through my network, the people that knew me, I was able to land a job at ITT and teach for a while, and that's where I really found out that I love teaching. And it's just in me to help people out basically. So I guess Amion was kind of formed, and then since that, hey, nobody's really helping these entry-level developers, so I decided that I would take the risk and try to do that. And so far, it's been a really good experience for everybody that's been involved in Amion.
Especially since a very common issue is, even though we have all these resources out there like Unity and there's tons of what you can go to Google, type in game development, and there's like a cajillion results. Exactly. But the biggest problem is they're overwhelmed by it.
Exactly, and having that mentoring or that guidance from developers and experienced developers is and to have that hands-on help person to person is so much more motivating and helpful. Getting your questions answered instead of having to type them in a search engine. It's so much faster, and it's great working in a team environment too. Everybody's focused on the same goal basically.
So going back to the team environment, another big aspect of game development, which people tend not to think about a lot, is especially in indie development, because usually it's one or two-person team.
That's right.
Is project management.
Exactly.
And that kind of falls into the whole Scrum and Agile methodologies. So how in depth are you guys going in that? Because it is an important aspect that really isn't talked about that much.
Yeah, exactly. So what we do is I try my best to synchronize the internship starts with the new team basically. So everybody starts almost on the same page.
That's awesome.
And what we do is usually there'll be a project in queue, either that has been in production or just starting basically. And the perfect example of this was our Pachinko game that we started actually 2 summers ago, I think. And that was a 6-week project, and it turned out being really well. I mean, we did very good with the art and sound, and it was a fun little game basically. And we wrapped that up within 6 weeks basically. So since then, I have actually introduced Scrum basically since then. So
very cool.
So I think having that deadline and having a reasonable deadline and knowing what you can accomplish and knowing your priority is not only from just the developer standpoint, but from also the user standpoint and the product owner and stuff like that is very valuable. So we use for our Scrum system, we use
Jira.
Not Jira yet. We probably will be introducing Jira actually. I'm very impressed with Atlassian's products, and they have so many good things coming out. And what they have now is fantastic. We've been using what's called On Time, basically. So that was our first Scrum system, and we're still chewing away at that, basically, and still using that. But most likely we'll be using Jira in the future because it's so industry standard.
It's robust. I mean,
exactly.
And they have an extension called Grasshopper, which you just they have in progress. They have a backlog.
Exactly.
A burn down chart. And,
that's right. They also have another product that is coming out too that plugs into it. I forgot the name of it, but you could tap into every cloud system like SkyDrive and Google Drive and just about every cloud system. I mean, just so you don't have to stick with one cloud system basically.
Crazy.
It's a great solution because your files end up scattered when you all have. Including Dropbox too, also. So your files end up being scattered unless you have some sort of central mechanism for organizing everything. So
no, it's really fantastic that you are teaching them Scrum because it's an important skill to have, and it also encourages the idea of discipline too.
Absolutely, that's right.
Highly important, especially when you want to be more of a producer or manager
instead
of game development. Like even if you have even if it's just a one-person team,
That's right.
applying those methodologies to yourself.
That's right.
Is
Exactly.
actually pretty powerful.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what does Scrum stand for? Is it a name or like, I've never heard
It's
that.
like an acronym, I think, or
Yeah.
something.
Basically, Scrum. From my understanding, the research I've done is basically came from rugby, basically.